Tonight,
Tweet, the story of the congressman and the underpants.
We're trying to get to the bottom of where the picture came from. I'm not going to talk about this anymore.
I just think he's proven in the past that he's not to be trusted.
The former sexting congressman admits that he did send more graphic photos.
I hope they're willing to still continue to give me a second chance.
I think he should drop out.
The cover of Rolling Stone is a place normally reserved for rock stars, but tonight the magazine is taking heat for making Boston bombing suspect Johar Tsarnaev its latest cover board.
It's despicable.
I don't approve of it.
Bad idea.
I truly believe in my heart, and I would bet my life that this substance never entered my body at any point.
A one-time most valuable player benched.
He's cheating, and you're not supposed to cheat.
Major League Baseball has suspended Milwaukee outfielder Ryan Braun for violating its drug policy.
I think he should just be gone.
Aaron Hernandez is released by his team, the New England Patriots.
The charge is a murder charge.
it's a sad day. It's really a sad day.
The football star Aaron Hernandez is now charged with murdering one of his friends.
It was a sad day.
Disappointing and sad, you know. Just kind of bums you out a little bit.
And welcome to Saving America, a special audience edition of Hannity, where we're going to explore the reasons behind the cultural decay that's taking place right here in the U.S. Now, over the course of the next hour, we'll turn our focus to the lack of morality in the world of politics, the troubling controversy surrounding professional athletes, and much, much more. Now, to kick things off, we begin with one of the hottest topics of the week, the new allegations of impropriety that's facing New York City mayoral candidate Anthony Weiner. The disgraced ex-congressman was forced to admit Tuesday that he had sent X-rated photos and messages to a number of women long after he resigned from Congress. Let's take a look.
There are a few. I said at the time of my resignation there were 6. I don't believe there have been any. I don't think in total there are any more. Here's the problem. As I start to say, you know, there are people that I have had exchanges with that are completely appropriate and that are not, that haven't, there are no pictures or no illicit text or anything like that. Now, if those people want to say they don't like the exchanges we had either, I don't know where to put them. All I can say to this is it's not dozens, just like I told the Post, and they made a big headline out of it. It's not dozens and dozens. It is 6 to 10, I suppose, but I can't tell you absolutely what someone else is going to consider inappropriate or not.
Now, shortly after he made that statement, we sent our cameras to follow Weiner to an event where he was swarmed by the press, and on the streets of the Big Apple, it seemed that everyone had an opinion on his situation.
I'm not interested in voting for somebody whose maybe their focus isn't where it needs to be.
I don't think it should matter. I think it's human. People are people. It's normal. I think the more normal you are, the more people respond to you in a normal way. So I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Anthony Weiner's private life is his private life, and what his ability to serve has nothing to do with that.
It transcends his personal life. I mean, the fact that she's forgiven him it's nice. I'm not sure that really has anything to do with his qualifications to be mayor. I think he's lost it.
It's ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous.
And
the scandal,
and the re-scandal,
and the re-scandal. I mean,
and it takes away from what the politics are all about in this city. It's not about him.
How can you trust someone like that?
He admitted to what happened. He has his wife by his side. And I feel they should give him another chance because he does a good job.
He's already apologized over and over and over again, and now he's still doing it. So anybody who's still supporting him is just in denial.
As long as he's effective in office, by all means. There's people who are doing much worse, I'm sure, in office already.
He has a compulsive problem, and I can't imagine what he would do if he was the mayor and there was some kind of big event that he was worried about. He'd be texting all over the place, or sexting.
All right, strangely enough, the only people who did not want to talk about Anthony Weiner, well, they were his supporters who just stood silently on the streets holding up signs.
Do you guys want to tell us why he should be mayor? No one? No one wants to talk to us? Nothing to say about why you think he should be mayor?
Now, to be fair, Anthony Weiner is not the only politician, Republican or Democrat, to find themselves embroiled in scandal. However, the important questions we're asking tonight, has this behavior become the norm here in America, the new norm? Is power more important than dignity? And how can we help save America? Here to answer all those questions, our wonderful studio audience. Good to see you all. Give yourselves all right. Show of hands. Does private life like Anthony Weiner, should it matter in an election? Yes, hold your hands up.
At that level, yes.
No, hands up. Tamara Holder.
Okay, well, first of all, most men cheat. I would say about I would say so the first thing is most men cheat. We're one of the few species who tries to not have cheating as part of our lives.
Guys,
but
you
it
agree with
doesn't.
this?
But no, this is factually true. The next thing is that we have to look at what politicians have to say on the issues, not what they're sexting. Kennedy did it 100 years ago.
Tamara,
Bill
first
Clinton
of all,
did it 100 years ago.
I take
it
exception.
matter.
I take exception as a man that all men cheat. How about women cheat? But that's not the point here.
Have you ever cheated?
This has not stopped.
Have you ever cheated?
This guy
is
continuing.
I
haven't.
Okay.
I've been married 20 years.
You're one of the few. Most
One
do.
of the few.
Most
Anyone else
do.
here hasn't cheated? There you go. Thank you very much.
Where do you get the evidence
Bill
that
Cunningham,
most men cheat?
Did I see your hand go up?
Almost for this reason. It depends what the private misbehavior is. Clinton had the cigar and the blue dress. Now, he lied under oath to a federal judge. I did not have sex with that woman.
I did not have sex with that woman.
Bingo.
Not
now,
a single time.
did he lie to a federal judge committing at least civil contempt of court? Yes. Now, in Weiner's case, in Anthony's Weiner case, what this amounts to is private behavior not involving a public office. The guy's a pervert. There's no question he's got sexual problems. But I don't care about his...
Do you want a pervert being in office?
We already have perverts.
Sean,
look at Penn State.
Weiner was taking a picture of his wiener.
What about
Sandusky?
What about Sandusky? What did Sandusky do?
All right, Bernie McGurk, yes.
That's a matter of technology. He's still no different than, say, Bill Clinton. Look, I don't like the term, but it applies to him. Creepy-ass cracker is Anthony Weiner. As a matter of fact, his online pseudonym should be Fugly Psycho. However, he did not do anything worse than what Bill Clinton did. The technology allows him to do it now. And as far as men, all men cheat. If all you date is married men, you're going to have that perception.
Yeah. All right, up here. Yeah.
You know what? All right. Weiner does what he does. All that can be debated over and over. Let's go to compromise in his office and what he does in his judgment. We expect our politicians to have judgment, our elected officials. How good is his judgment when he does this? He lies about it. He asks for your trust as a voter and then goes out and does it again. Yeah. And by the way, there is more coming on Anthony Weiner and what he's done.
And here's the difference. Here's the difference with Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton did this act in office, in the Oval Office. That's where he should have been held accountable. And we've created this atmosphere of allowing politicians to become celebrities. And it is the misinformed voter that's allowing him to be reelected.
Brooke, yeah.
Okay, what's amazing to me is that we're spending time debating Schmeckelgate, okay, when Huma Abedin, who has connections to the Muslim Brotherhood, who is connected to the chief financier of Al-Qaeda, is his wife and has top security clearance.
This is a great point.
Wow. Why are we debating this when this elephant is
and actually what Brooke points to, that's the real Huma Abedin story. It's not about Weiner's Wiener. It's about Huma Abedin and her ties to Islamic supremacists.
also assistant to our Secretary
of State and soon to be maybe next president of the United States. That's what this story is really all about.
I mean, first of all, a lot of that has been disputed. I don't think we're going to get into that here, but she's also not running for office. We're not talking about her.
Yeah.
I do think the larger issue that you raised here, Sean, is look, this kind of thing happens, Democrats and Republicans, because we have allowed our political leaders, our celebrities to fester in this culture where they put the individual. No, where I'm saying where we put individuals above everyone's common good. They're in government. They should be working for the common good, and we've lost sight of that.
Wait, Sally's making a point. Is really, they represent the people. The people have decided what? It's okay?
Well,
Katie.
In some cases they have. But in terms of going back to Bill Clinton as the president of the United States set an example. And Hillary Clinton, as the first lady at the time, set an example that women should lower their standards and allow and dismiss this behavior so they can have power, and that translates later for opportunities for them. Huma standing next to her man is not brave. Anthony Weiner is a sexual predator. And I take issue with the idea that we as human beings shouldn't have a level of monogamy and control. We're not animals. We're not like other species. Not all men cheat.
Listening, Tamara?
Yeah, I'm listening, but I just don't understand how you can make an accusation that Anthony Weiner is a sexual predator. That is a crime, and just because he's engaging in, very creepy behavior, which I don't approve of, it doesn't make him a sexual predator.
Doesn't it remind you of a guy like this is technology that has changed things, but he kind of reminds me of the guy with the raincoat flashing people.
Sean,
he engaged in an exchange of information. I mean, this is a guy who's on Facebook. What elected official? Let me finish. What elected official?
What happened to character?
We have got.
What happened to character? Character to be the mayor of this great city.
Right.
This guy's a slime ball.
All right, now coming up as Saving America returns, we examine why Rolling Stone magazine chose to feature a cold-blooded terrorist on its cover, and why some people are actually coming out in support of this bomber in Boston. Plus, we sent our cameras to Boston to see what the residents of Beantown think about all of this. As we continue, we'll show you all that and more straight ahead.
For celebrities, Rolling Stones is a cover that you want to be on. People say it's glorifying it. Might not be glorifying it, but it's making him more of a celebrity. And I just don't think it's right.
And welcome back to Saving America. Now, later tonight, we're going to take an inside look at the world of sports and some of the athletes who have fallen from grace in recent years, from Ryan Braun and the Major League Baseball doping scandal to the murder charges now facing former New England Patriots star Aaron Hernandez. And we'll have studio reaction. Now, before we go there, we want to turn our focus to another hot topic, that being Rolling Stone magazine's decision to feature a radical terrorist on its cover. Jahar Tsarnaev, the sole surviving Boston Marathon bomber, appears front and center on the publication's latest edition. Now, not surprisingly, it sparked outrage all across the country, and in Boston in particular. Now, we went to the city's famous Copley Square, the scene of the horrific explosion, to see how people there felt about it. Let's take a look.
For celebrities, Rolling Stones is a cover that you want to be on. People say it's glorifying it. Might not be glorifying it, but it's making him more of a celebrity. And I just don't think it's right.
I think, if anything, it tried to glorify the humanity inside him. And I think that's important to remember, that we are all human beings and we all have the capacity to do good things and bad things.
For him to get like Rolling Stone cover, that's, I feel like they're making him to be a celebrity.
It's very insensitive. They have the freedom to publish it, but I think society itself has the freedom to express their opinions. I think this town has expressed it very well.
It kind of tells young kids, hey, if you do something crazy and ridiculous like this, you might be glorified like that too on a magazine cover.
We should be ignoring him and keeping his name and everything about him out of the press and not give him what he wants, and that's notoriety.
Bad idea.
And as we continue with our studio audience, what do you think, Mark?
Well, look, I think this story is a great segue from the one we did earlier with Anthony Weiner, because it really, in the media, we need to look at ourselves a little bit in the mirror and see, what Rolling Stone is doing here is giving this murderer, this terrorist, all this attention that he doesn't deserve and that is glamorizing him. What we don't realize is that by talking so much about politicians who can't, keep it to themselves, let's just say, we're taking the wind out of the sails of all the other really respectable and qualified candidates for office in the New York City mayor's race, like Chris Quinn.
It's like oxygen. You have to show.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing here is that when our enemies look at this, they realize that if they do something really terrible to the United States, they're going to end up looking like what he looks like, a Jonas brother or something on the Rolling Stone magazine. It's so disrespectful to the people who lost their lives. What I don't understand is why did they put the
Osama bin Laden on the cover of Time and Newsweek, one of their biggest selling issues ever, Time and Newsweek, Osama bin Laden, who did 1,000 times worse than what this guy did. How come Time and Newsweek can make millions off 9/11 and this magazine cannot?
And there are media and organizations out there that specifically their goal is to take what people think is good and wholesome and to twist it and manipulate young people in order to go against the values of their parents. Good, wholesome some things, and this is completely wrong. And young men are going to look up to this the same way that young girls look up to models in a magazine. They're stick thin, and they want to look like that. It's a false representation of reality, and we should stand up against it.
I don't think he should have been on the cover. I'm not going to patronize Rolling Stone for it. However, I do think there is something around understanding the complexity of what terror looks like right now, and I don't think we have a good handle on it. It's not someone.
Did anybody?
You have to ask yourself why some on the left have a soft spot in their heart for radical Islam. Everything that the left stands for: sex, drugs, rock and roll, gay rights, women's rights. Radical Islam is against. The only thing they have in common is that they don't like this country, and I think you saw that. That's what happened with the editors at Rolling Stone.
Wait a second. First and foremost, I'm not going to go address that comment, but as somebody who actually address it. It's wrong. But for purposes of this, why? Because I'm on the left.
Why would they do it?
Because I'm on the left, and I don't love and I don't love radical Islam.
Well,
but wait a second.
If you're gay, you better not go to a Muslim country because you're not going to be wanted.
Who's supporting radical Islam?
Well, the point is
what's the point?
You have radical Islam.
I'm sorry.
We have a guy on the cover, those little kids with their legs blown off now that have no more legs, and you're glorifying this guy.
I'm not glorifying him.
My point is, radical Islam is against everything in America that is right. The freedoms that we have, the freedoms as you as a woman, go to Saudi Arabia and go to Saudi Arabia and go for a swim, or go to Dubai. Go to Dubai.
Excuse me.
Go to Dubai with your boyfriend.
About this cover.
Go to Dubai with your boyfriend.
Let me make my. I'm not going to go to Dubai with my boyfriend, but thank you for the invitation.
You won't be able to make love.
All right, all right. I will put that on my to-do list. But I will say this about the. I will put this. I'll say this about the cover. Did anybody here read the article? The article could not have been more hard-hitting against this guy.
I didn't think
so. The article. Oh my God.
They had a professor that said he's surprised that there aren't more angry Muslim students. They said that he was brainwashed by his brother. They said flattering things about him. That's not true what you said. And by the way, with the left, it's the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Sally, go ahead.
Look, again here, first of all, the problem in this country is extremism. The problem in this country is people who think that they should be able to impose their will on other people, and whether that's radical Islam or radicalism of any other kind, as opposed to...
Why give this guy...
I think it's wrong. I think it's wrong. I think the cover's wrong, and part of it is because it puts this sort of... It lauds the individual above the common good and the collective interest, and that's what we should be doing.
And while I agree they shouldn't have put this on from an editorial standpoint and from a moral standpoint, I do think, to be fair, Rolling Stone is moving in the direction of an editorial magazine taking on public affairs issues. This is really relevant. I'm just saying.
There's no excuse for the cover. No one should be defending the cover. But I want to bring us back to the political realm for a second. When you have an administration who's willing to give terrorists civilian trials, when you have an FBI who's cleansing their guidelines for how to go about prosecuting terrorism, when you have the Attorney General saying he wants the terrorists who attacked us in 9/11 to be tried in downtown New York, I'm actually not surprised that Rolling Stone would take their lead and glorify this and not take it seriously like they should.
Let me put you out of the realm of
I was going to say,
go ahead.
an administration that won't use the term radical Islam.
Well,
that is true. It's a great point. Let's look at Brooke, man-caused disasters.
If I might make a radical suggestion here, the only reason the cover could be seen as a good thing is because it puts our focus on the homegrown radicalization problem that we have in this country. We have Al-Aqsa TV, which is Hamas TV. We have Hezbollah's Al-Manar Network, which is being broadcast. And you did a show on this. All over the United States, the feds are doing nothing about it. We are going to see more boys like the Tsarnaev brothers. And if this cover gets us talking about it, then that's a good thing.
I think it encourages, but we still believe in freedom, Scottie.
We do believe in freedom, and here is what is actually the good side. Just like with the Trayvon murder case, when you look at it, the exact opposite is happening of what the culture wanted us to react. And people are angry, they're upset, they're having the conversation, and this is making us realize that we've become too tolerant in this country.
Mike, you haven't commented yet. Mike.
I think Rolling Stone got exactly what they wanted. If they put Bruce Springsteen or Justin Timberlake on the cover, we wouldn't be talking about it.
And we're talking about it. Yeah.
We're not talking about it. We're talking about it. They get the comments.
You're saying that Justin Bieber isn't popular?
Probably not as popular with this.
This is bad press.
This is bad press. This is not good press. This is not what they wanted.
All right, we got to take a break. When we come back on our special Saving America, they are idolized by young people all across the country, but all too often, sports stars, like politicians, they end up knee-deep in controversy. The latest example, Major League Baseball slugger Ryan Braun, who just this week was suspended for the remainder of the season for using performance-enhancing drugs. Well, our cameras hit the streets of Milwaukee to get reaction from Brewers fans. You're going to hear from them along with our studio audience coming up next.
He's one of a growing number of athletes that lies, thinks he can get away with it, and only admits it when he's caught dead to rights. So I don't think it's a great example.
And welcome back to the special audience edition of Hannity, where we are examining the troubling decline in American values that has taken place in recent years. Now, not even the nation's favorite pastime is saved from this downward spiral. Now, just this week, Milwaukee's Brewers left fielder Ryan Braun was suspended without pay for the remainder of the season. Now, according to Major League Baseball, the punishment was handed down because Braun used performance-enhancing drugs. Now, it's long been suspected that the well-known slugger used banned substances. However, he denied it all throughout those allegations as they were made.
If I had done this intentionally or unintentionally, I'd be the first one to step up and say, I did it. By no means am I perfect, but if I've ever made any mistakes in my life, I've taken responsibility for my actions. I truly believe in my heart, and I would bet my life that this substance never entered my body at any point.
Now, sadly, we know that that was a blatant lie, making Braun the latest in a long line of athletes to disappoint fans all over the country. Now, we went to a Brewers game to get reaction from their fans. Here's what they said.
He's one of a growing number of athletes that lies, thinks he can get away with it, and only admits it when he's caught dead to rights. So I don't think it's a great example.
If you cheat, you get caught. He's been caught twice, and personally, I think he should just be gone.
He's cheating. And you're not supposed to cheat.
We were in the store, you see his jerseys. Personally, they should be on clearance and move on.
I'm disappointed that that he didn't own up to it right away and take his punishment and be done with it.
Well, I do think it's bad for the sport, but I do think it's a little premature for Major League Baseball to just jump on Braun about the situation.
I coach small children, so thinking about children looking up to players like that part of it's kind of frustrating to know that kids can be endangering themselves.
I'm a little bit disappointed, but I think everyone makes mistakes, and I'm not that upset. I'm rooting for him next season, though.
I think he's just made a really bad decision, but I'm still a fan. I'm going to root for him. I'm going to support him, get through this season, and, you know, next year it's a new season.
And welcome back to our audience edition of Hannity. Let's go to the videotape. Warner Wolf, one of the best-known sportscasters in America. Say it ain't so?
Well, first, here's the problem, I think. So here's a guy that is suspended for 65 games. So he loses $3.3 million. But when he comes back, he not only gets the rest of the salary he's due, but then he has an extension through 2020 worth $117 million. So, you know, where's the penalty? See, I say change the rule. Once you are hit with drugs, and there's no question, and you are suspended, you have violated the contract. So your contract should be null and void. Forget that extension.
Anyway, how many agree with that?
And when you come back, then you negotiate, the club negotiates with you again.
All right, now wait, Bill Cunningham, you are friends with Pete Rose.
Sean Hannity, I say this. There are baseball misdemeanors. Pete Rose bet on the Reds to win. O.J. Simpson killed somebody.
Should be in the Hall of Fame.
Should be in the Hall of Fame. Jerry Sandusky, pedophile. Aaron Hernandez, seemingly multiple murder. You can't put Ryan Braun and Canseco and McGuire in the same category as O.J. Simpson, Hernandez. Pete Rose committed a parking ticket. Not a big deal.
All right, go ahead. David Webb.
Can we just stop for a moment and remember why we're here? We're talking about culture and what we've decided to accept as a country. We have decided, whether it's Anthony Weiner, whether it's the Tsarnaev brothers, which is to sell magazines, or this ball player relies on ticket sales and the money the team makes to pay him, and all the product marketing, that we're going to accept it. So what we have to do in the free market, the marketplace, reject this. If we're going to have values, stop buying, stop going, speak from your wallet. And frankly, Sean, if we don't bring the culture back center in this country, it's not a left or right. Hang on, Bo.
We'll get to you in a minute.
It's not a left or right issue. It's a serious damage to our country.
Monica.
When you talk about the big point about the decline of morality or serial lying, it doesn't matter if we're talking about politicians or athletic stars. It doesn't matter, because what we're dealing with here, and this is a really big point in America, we're dealing with a perpetual adolescent culture and mentality where there are no consequences. So nothing is my fault. Don't hassle me with the small stuff. Nobody understands me. Don't blame me. And again, consequences are a drag,
let me ask
so
a question.
let's move on.
All the categories we're talking about, Tamara's shaking her head, all these categories, do these guys have an obligation? Are they role models?
No, they are not. Sean, they're not role models.
Sure they are.
No, they're not. You asked me a
You're a
question.
role
Are they
model. You're
role
on
models?
TV.
Well, I'm not asking to be a role model. I'm not. But the point is that I know a lot of professional athletes, and they don't want to be role models. It is the job and the duty of parents. Parents to tell their children, you don't look up to this guy. All he does is he hits the ball, and that's it.
It absolutely is the parents'
You're
role.
former Miss America.
It absolutely is the parents' role and responsibility. However, if you accept any kind of public position, you understand that there's an extra responsibility that comes with that. If you don't want it, don't accept the position.
That's like they were touching on. I think the most troubling thing is that these are supposed to be our role models for our children. And you have to understand the culture. I mean, if you listen to the rap music, everything in rap music is about doing drugs, about mistreating women.
Sean,
these are the people. And these are the people that President Obama is embracing. I mean, these are the types of rappers that he likes.
Sean, it's a simple solution.
Okay.
Simple solution, Sean. Simple solution. If you get caught once with drugs in the major league, you should get the warning. You get caught twice, it should be the league that bans you from the damn league and start teaching them a lesson.
But the problem with the league, right, is that baseball is not just a pastime, it is a business. And you cannot tell me, you cannot talk about these individual players and not talk about the larger context and the owners and the people who are also colluding in this. You can't tell me that McGuire and Sosa and all these other people that I can't name are seriously involved in this.
All right, I'll tell you what, hold it. We're going to come back to this, and we'll have plenty of time to wrap it all up. And coming up next on Saving America, we'll take a look at the role radical college professors are playing as they indoctrinate your children and how that is adding to the decay in our value system. By the way, we always want to hear from you. Join our special companion site, HannityLive.foxnews.com. Follow the live show. Share your thoughts on this and much more. HannityLive.foxnews.com, on Twitter @Sean Hannity. And welcome back to Saving America as we discuss the importance of reversing the downward spiral in morality that is taking place in this great country of ours. Now, in this segment, we want to shine the spotlight on how some radical educators are misinforming and misleading your children. Now, the most recent example of this indoctrination came in the wake of the George Zimmerman acquittal. Upon learning the verdict, a professor at the prestigious University of Pennsylvania wrote a column stating, quote, "God ain't good all of the time. In fact, sometimes God is not for us. As a black woman in a nation that has taken too many pains to remind me that I am not a white man and am not capable of taking care of my reproductive rights or my voting rights, I know that this American God ain't my God. As a matter of fact, I think he is a white, racist God with a problem." So the question is that a message a professor should be sending to her students? Here to debate, we continue with our studio audience. Well? Yes.
I'm sorry. Well, first of all, it's really fascinating to me that we think, the conservatives think that corporations should be able to not pay their workers a good wage and all these things that private businesses should be able to do. But private universities shouldn't be able to employ the teachers that they want to give a wide range of ideas to their students. I'm sorry. Why are we going to... That's called censorship.
At college is a little different than high school, but some college classes are mandatory. This is, hang on, this is a captive audience of kids.
Then don't go to that school.
Well, there's a captive audience. It's almost every school. So it's not, you can't.
If I went to Liberty University, with all due respect, I would be indoctrinated in a completely different way. That's why I wouldn't go to Liberty University.
But here's the difference between Liberty is known for Christian values.
So's University of Pennsylvania.
I'm sorry.
Most of the universities have liberal professors, and I think that they try to pretend as though they're all in favor of diversity only when it comes to the color of one's skin. But when it comes to hiring conservative professors, absolutely not. They're marginal.
I'm a proud graduate of the University of Pennsylvania and was founded by one of the first liberals, Benjamin Franklin. I think we've all heard of him. And I think that what this professor was doing...
Benjamin Franklin was a liberal in your mind.
Well, I'm sure we have a very different reading of history, Sean, but yes.
Maybe you had a bolt of electricity while you're at the school. All right, go ahead.
But this is what I think. I think professors have an obligation to be provocative, to provoke their students to think critically from a different angle. This publication, this wasn't in an academic journal. This isn't the project or a product of academic thinking.
And I experienced this. The lowest grade I ever got in school was from a professor at NYU that his first words out of his mouth when he started the semester, "I am a communist."
Right.
I ended up arguing with him. I got the lowest grade in college, punished for my opinions.
Or maybe your argument wasn't very good, Sean.
Yeah, but we have in our own colleges in New York, we have a professor not too far from here that was implicated in the murder of an armored car. And she's a professor. So this is the rights of this great country that we could do these things. On that side of it, that's the right of this country.
Yeah. You know, having liberal professors is nothing new. This has been going on for decades. What really is scary is that it's starting to really trickle down, and we're seeing our middle schools and elementary schools.
That's a good point. A capped Common Core, good point. This is a captive audience. And you know something? I'll tell you what professors do have an obligation to do. Kids can't read, write, and do math by the time they get out of school. And you know why? Because they're being proselytized and indoctrinated as a captive audience. They can't argue with their professors or their grades will suffer.
Sean, when Bill Ayers sets the standard for professors in this country, the bar is pretty low. But he set the standard of bombing the Pentagon and then still getting hired as professor. But to the point of liberals running the university system, they do. But I actually think that this benefits conservative students more because they're constantly challenged on their ideas. They come out with a better education because they're more well-rounded, and they actually know that universities are, as Michelle said.
A couple things. First of all, there don't seem to be a lack of conservative students, so it's not like this university system isn't producing a wide range of ideological students. Number one. Number two,
vote for Obama.
Number two, you know, maybe it's also possible that more professors are liberal. That in fact that's a product of them educating themselves and informing themselves.
Excuse me, except for those that are really dedicated to education, it's a pretty cushy job at a university. If you've got tenure, you can't be fired. Cameron.
Sean, maybe you were just a bad writer for you to consider that that it was some kind of conspiracy for you to get a bad grade. And I just don't understand how we want children, we want people to have be provoked in their thinking, and we want kids to read this and say, no, I don't like this professor.
How about forget?
I don't
wait
like
a minute.
what this professor has to say.
How about not? You can provoke, but how about you bring both sides into the discussion?
Then the conservative professor should have written a follow-up, and he didn't. There's not one conservative professor.
Majority of schools in public education.
There's not a conservative professor at Penn. You're just saying that. Where's the conservative professor to write a response?
If I can say, I agree that this tends to be a wrong argument because I was just very closely in school with college-age students, and there is a wide diversity of opinion, and people are learning to not take it lying down, stand up and say their views and not be punished academically for that. But also, I think the difference is not whether they're liberal or conservative, but the morality that's being taught at school, this postmodern philosophy that truth is relative, and you don't really have to decide what you believe as long as you can back it up. It's all emotionalism and reactionism. It's how I feel. There's no right and wrong, and that's a concern.
Well said. On that point, we got to end this segment, but we got to take a break. We're going to come back. We'll continue more with our great studio audience as Saving America here on Hannity continues. And welcome back to our audience edition of Hannity and Saving America. All right, I got a question. How many think America is in decline? Raise your hands. How many disagree? Bernie McGurk, why?
I don't think it's on decline. It's going through a change, but I have faith in America. I think, you know, there were bumps in the road here, but I'm not willing to throw in the towel and say it's all. There are a lot of good people out there, a lot of good men. Look at the guys that serve in the military. That's our nation here.
For example, haven't things changed a lot in this country? Maybe not.
Yeah.
When you and I grew up, we were Catholic boys. Yeah. Look what the Catholic Church has gone through the last 20 years. Educational institutions, Penn State. The office holders in Washington where Eric Holder is held in contempt of court, contempt of Congress. Things are going down the tubes. Not good.
Historically, historically, every generation thinks the generation before them was great and everything's on the decline. We're America. We'll bounce back. And by the way, this diversity that you're completely opposed to, how it doesn't look the way it used to look before, as far as I'm concerned, is a good thing for this country.
Alexis.
It's a good thing for this country.
Look, I get it on the bus, in the early bus, with folks who get up every day to take care of their families, to take their kids. Some of them are struggling. Some of them are really, really trying to figure out how they're going to make it in America, but they still have faith. And I feel like if they have faith in where America is going.
Let's look at societal norms, and more people dependent on government than ever before. More kids born out of wedlock than ever before. More violence and murder than ever before. Look at America.
But let me answer you. The decline that you were talking about is the decline in the social contract of this country, right?
Is that a decline of America? Is that America?
That is actually the challenge that people are experiencing. We're feeling very isolated when we need. These failures are societal failures, and we need to address them that way.
The 60s and the 70s were terrible. Reagan in the 80s came back, so don't throw in the towel.
I'm not throwing in the
towel.
Sean.
Monica, yes. Monica, go ahead.
Listen, remember in 2008, Barack Obama constantly talked about the fundamental transformation of the nation. And a lot of us have been focused on the economics of that, socialized medicine, changing the economics away from a free market system to a more socialist system. But I think the critical point about the fundamental transformation is whether or not the far left is actually changing the very character of America.
And people like Tamara.
Away from one built on individual and economic liberty.
Mike behind her. Mike, go ahead. Go ahead. Mike.
It's Anthony Weiner's fault. It's Ryan Braun's fault for taking steroids. Look at sports. It was never America's pastime. Mickey Mantle came to games drunk. He cheated on his wife. Willie Mays took amphetamines. If it's not one thing, it's another thing. We're just focusing more on...
Willie Mays did that?
Yeah. The say you know what we have to realize? One, America's stronger. Out of adversity, we've always been a greater nation. I'm with McGurk. We're in a tough time. We're fighting a fundamental transformation. We have cultural issues. We have political issues. We have national security issues. But America has one great strength, the sleeping giant.
What's that?
We wake up when we're really challenged, and we're being challenged now. We're seeing the rise. We're seeing the end of apathy politically. We're seeing the end of cynicism.
Can I disagree with you
and the
just
rise.
slightly here? You know what I think the biggest problem is? Americans have been indoctrinated now into thinking the government is the answer to their problem. Wait a minute. As a result, 50 million Americans on food stamps. Morality has shifted. Families are breaking down. And I'm not sure how to reverse that mindset because it's a mental condition.
Right, but here's part of the reversal of that. The rise of the Tea Party movement was a kitchen table issue. The rise of people who have bought in, who are Americans, that say, this is not good. We're in a fight, don't get me wrong. But ordinary Americans have become vested in saving this country, not relying... Sean,
my feeling, Sean.
Hang on.
Final word.
Not relying on the political class, but on American values. And that's where we win.
Talk about
Hang on, we'll get to you when we get back. We've got to take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap things up. Is America in decline? Saving America? Special edition of Hannity continues. All right, welcome back to Saving America, and we continue with our studio audience. Bo Dietl, respond to what I'm saying, and that is that Americans now have been conditioned to think the government is their answer. They're going to get health care, they're going to get daycare, they're going to get cradle-to-grave utopia. Is that part of the problem?
I agree with you, but my point I'm trying to make here is the Trayvon Martin case is a perfect example. It wasn't a racist case. We get these creeps that come out of their caves, the Jesse Jacksons, the Al Sharptons. They wait for this, they savor this, and they stir it up, and the liberal media does this. This was not a racial case. This was a case that was...
Just to address the dependency, America is the greatest political experiment that we've ever seen in human history. And if something doesn't work, we have the opportunity to change it every 4 years. And those who think that wish that America is in decline are hoping that the political experiment won't work. That is what they're showing disdain for.
There's no moral degradation just because somebody's taking a Social Security check or getting a government subsidized student loan.
We've never had dependency at this level.
Right. Okay, but we can talk about the changing economic arrangements in the social We're not going to talk about this moral panic that happens perennially. It happens every couple of years. Every generation thinks the kids are not all right. The kids are all right.
We've never had $18 trillion in debt. We've never had 50 million Americans on food stamps. We never had 1 in 5. We've never had 1 in 5 American children in poverty.
So do you think we can't come back from that?
It used to be about self-reliance. Now everyone wants that life of Julia, where the government's taking care of you from cradle to grave. No, there's no longer the sense of local community helping each other out.
You wait for the government.
What about corporate welfare?
capitalism.
Yeah.
Republicans aren't for crony capitalism. That's not the free market. We're not talking about
Sean
that.
Hannity, Benjamin Franklin never had an Obama phone. I'm sorry. He woke up and got to work.
There isn't such a thing as Obama
Your guy,
phones.
everyone's got Obama phones. We're a food stamp nation, and I worry. That's why Obama got 51% of the vote.
Sean, there's no Obama.
I know a lot of Americans. I don't.
Tamara Holder loves Obama phones. Those are Obama voters.
Okay, first of all, there's no Obama phones. Second of all, look.
Stop a second. There is Obama phones.
We have always, let's get to the issue. We have always been a country, always, and liberals believe this, that has partnered individual entrepreneurship and hard work with the idea that we all do better together.
Sally,
That's why we created a nation, Sean. That's why we created
my
a nation.
grandparents came here at the
As
turn of the
did
last
mine.
century.
Yes.
$38, $40, $45 in their pockets. And guess what? They didn't have guaranteed health care, and they didn't have an Obama phone, and they didn't have a Social Security
We had the
system.
GI Bill. My grandfather went to college on the GI Bill. We had federally guaranteed
never been
home
this
loans.
high.
You know what? Excuse me. That we do better.
We never had that.
We need both. And I'm sorry,
We're
most
going to
people
be broke like
Sean,
Spain and
most
Portugal.
people. Then you know what?
You are essentially
Then I agree with you.
everyone lazy.
Right now, most of the people on food stamps are working because productivity in this country has gone up while incomes for working people have gone down. That's a problem.
Tamara Holder, one thing that we have, Obamacare now is what? We're learning that people aren't going to get hired full-time because these corporations don't want to hire full-time employees.
Well, I believe that Obama is careless. I don't think that he's a good leader. I think that he has done a poor job of talking to the people. I know. Is this shocking? Am I hearing claps from conservatives? But he is. He's been a terrible leader, especially to the average American person. That being said, we've also seen corporations taking all of their money and all of their jobs overseas more than before.
How many?
Detroit is gone.
Hang on a second. I got a question
no
to
longer
that.
Detroit.
How many blame government for causing corporations to move their money out? I blame the government. Bernie.
Yeah. I blame Anthony Weiner for the whole thing.
All right, we got you. Yeah, Katie Pavlich.
Well, I wanted to go back to something that Brooke said, because she talked about how as Americans we change things when we don't like them. But when you have a Secretary of State who says, what difference does it make when it comes to 4 dead Americans? We have an Attorney General who oversaw a program sending guns to Mexico for people to be killed. And then you have a president who says that these scandals are phony.
Phony, yeah, right.
It's kind of hard to take that.
We are out of time. You've been great. Thank you all for being with us. Thank you for being with us. And let not your heart be troubled. The news continues right here on the Fox News Channel, and we'll see you back here Monday night.